Peace, everybody. Welcome back to the Freedom Podcast. If you guys are new here, we talk about all things pertaining to freedom, particularly wellness, because I believe that the only way to truly live a really free life is through the peace of mind and the harmony with our body. So we have to be able to delve deep into what actually creates lasting freedom spiritually, emotionally, physically. And I believe that always starts with our wellness. Having gone through the past 30 years of healing on my own and just what I could accomplish and studying and reading every book that I possibly could, I wanted to find out what was working for people. And so I really focused most of my life on getting a very healthy, stable mind. These past couple weeks, I have had some family with me. I've had my twin 13-year-old nieces. I fly them down every year. And also my little brother just moved down here. And it's been a very interesting transition for both of us. We're very different people in the way that we process things. I'm a silence is golden type person, and I value my inner peace, and I like to work things out in my own time, in my own mind. And, I'm a suffer in silence type, if you will. When I have issues, I need to have space and quiet to process things, right? I don't enjoy speaking about something until I've processed it and wrapped my mind around it. And my brother is the exact opposite. Like, he will describe himself as being very extroverted, and he loves to talk everything through. He likes to fill every single space with chatter. And this drives me crazy, especially when it's in my own home. Like, my home is extremely peaceful. It's very quiet here. I need it to be that way because I'm so social and I'm so on the go when I'm working. I'm a performer. So I'm constantly, I meet thousands of people every week, and every person, even though I love it, they want to talk to me. They want to tell me stories. They want to share their life. And I love that. And that's wonderful. I love making these connections. But at the same time, like, I am an artist. I have a lot of emotions of my own that I don't discuss in public, because when I'm out, I'm on. I'm on for others. Like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you to talk about what's going on. I'm here for you to share with me. So I put myself and my own needs, I guess, like, on the back burner when I'm in public. Like, that time is not for me. I'm here to give my energy away, not to take. And so when I come home, I need to be able to, number one, process everything I just absorbed and disregard most of it, the things I don't need. I need to be able to work through all of my emotions, whatever I may be going through in life at that time. I need to be able to recalibrate my energy and get back into creation mode, because I'm an artist. I have to keep making music and learning new music, and getting back into that creative space takes a lot of emotional energy for me. On top of all the other million things that every other human on the planet has to do, bills and grocery shopping and taking care of the house and things like that, keeping up with friends and family, whatever. So I need a lot of emotional downtime. My home has to be my sanctuary. So with the chaos of having my twin nieces down, who are awesome and I love to pieces, for 7 days, and doing whatever they wanted to do and listening to them and their stories, which was amazing, cooking 3 meals a day, and then my brother now temporarily living with me while he gets the place down here. It's just been so much. And I felt extremely frazzled and very unstable, even though they're so amazing. I love them to pieces. It wasn't them at all. It was just all the energy of all the friends and everybody that was visiting. So then now with my brother being here too, it's been a huge adjustment for both of us, because he likes to fill every moment of silence with his voice. That's how he processes his emotions and his thoughts, is to say them out loud. And I take this very personally, because I'm like, why are you talking to me nonstop? You don't need to talk about everything. I'm like, and he would tell you the same thing. We've laughed about this. We've worked this all through, by the way. So I'm not talking shit behind his back. But I'm like, I'm going to choke you. Shut up. Shut up. and I tell him, like, hey, you don't need to fill every single space with the sound of your own voice. So anyways, he has this word of the day book, and it's just like a nice little way to start your day with a little, Bible verse or a proverb or something. And then it's got a nice little parable that oddly enough, usually kind of like a horoscope, usually corresponds to with whatever you happen to be going through at that time. And so I'm going to read it to you because it was really funny. We just had this whole conversation. And so then that morning, it was so funny. It was perfectly aligned. The title of the little word of the day was knowing when to be quiet. And it was so poignant and in alignment with what we were going through. There's a time to be quiet and a time to speak. So I believe silence is a superpower. Some people think that when you're quiet, it's awkward or it's a weakness. And I think it's the exact opposite. You don't need to fill every single moment of silence with the sound of your own voice. Let there be space. Let the tension build. It's so much more exciting when it finally releases, when you allow there to be some negative space there. And I don't mean negative in a derogatory connotation. I mean negative space like in terms of art. If you remember in art class and there needs to be a break in all the commotion, or if you have a movie, for example, I learned this in my own art and my own song making. I love to watch the behind the scenes for movies, and I learned this from watching Peter Jackson when he directed King Kong. There's a massive amount of silence in between all the chaos of that movie because then it only highlights when there is action, when they want to grab your attention. And when I'm writing my own songs and composing and producing my own music, I definitely play with a lot of the silences because it intensifies and amplifies when the music does hit. Or, in house music, when I'm producing beats and stuff, I will really play with the absence of sound. I will let that silence in between a chorus and a verse just hang. And it creates that desire for the ear to hear more. So then when I finally do drop that beat, people are like, oh, yes, because I've been waiting for this and I can't wait to hear what else you have to say. The same technique can be used in conversation. When you're talking to somebody, all the greatest storytellers use silence to really highlight the intense parts of their story. And when somebody is just like over talking and oversharing and, they're just kind of talking at you, it's like, do you even need me for this conversation? That's when people become exhausted. So this is a great technique to use when you're communicating with anybody, whether it's, on a first date or on your 500th date or maybe on a job interview, even when you're just hanging out with friends you've known your whole life. Like, it doesn't matter. You can really allow this silence to hang and create so much more enjoyment when there's communication back and forth. Or maybe it's even active listening where you really tune in and focus on what somebody else is telling you, and you are feeding them your energy, and that helps boost their energy so they can give you better, clear information. This is such a great way to communicate with your friends and family. Everybody should practice this. A lot of times we're just waiting for the person to be finished so we can talk over them and retort. And it's not a great conversation skill. Something that I like to practice is to pause for 2 seconds and take a deep breath and really focus on absorbing what the other person has told you. And it also makes them feel heard. You can set the tone for the conversation. For example, like when, somebody comes up to me and I can tell that they're nervous or they might feel a little bit awkward, or I can tell if somebody has anxiety, I will intentionally calm my breathing. I will begin breathing deeply. Almost every time, this person unconsciously will start to sync their breathing with mine, and it will calm them down and allow them to articulate their thoughts. And it helps to nicely quiet the mind. And then we're able to engage in really comfortable conversation. I really relax my energy, my demeanor, my smile, my eyes. I make sure that I'm very calm and I'm giving them all the energy that they need and the support to feel heard so they can get their point across. The 2-second rule is great when you're on a job interview as well. If somebody's asking you tough questions, it's okay to take a moment to pause, because when people are silent, you automatically seem wiser. You automatically seem like a reflective person, and this makes people respect you more. Only a fool runs around just talking all the time like a blithering idiot. That person is not going to be respected. The peacocker in the group is never going to garner respect. So, I'm going to read this real quick. This is the verse that I was telling you about that my brother read to me that morning, and it was perfect. Knowing when to be quiet. Okay, the Bible says, for everything there is a season, for every activity under heaven, a time to be quiet and a time to speak. Never allow yourself to be pressured into saying something you don't want to say or get drawn in when you don't feel like talking. Silence isn't a lack of communication, it's a form of communication. It can be a very effective one. Proverbs 29:11 says, "A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in until afterwards." One thing is for sure, what you don't say today, you won't have to explain afterwards or apologize tomorrow. If your tendency is to speak without thinking, or when you have nothing constructive to add, weigh the situation carefully and ask God for wisdom before deciding if you should speak or if you should be quiet. Remember, even dunces who keep quiet are thought to be wise as long as they keep their mouths shut. Basically, everybody just talks too fucking much. Like, shut your pie hole. You don't need to blab everything that comes to your mind. And I love that they say too, never allow yourself to be pressured into saying something you don't want to say. This reminds me of an old hairdresser that I used to have. I had to stop going to her because she was an extractor of information. How many of you have been in this situation before where you got around an extractor person and they would just like almost use like Jedi mind tricks to siphon things out of you that you didn't want to give up? Like one time this one woman I know got me to admit my salary. And I was like, I didn't want to say that. Or like when somebody asks you gossipy questions and you're trying to like hold it in and like you end up divulging things you didn't want to talk about. And that's what my old hairdresser used to do to me. Every time I would go in, she would just like siphon information out of me. And she was a big tabloid person, loved celebrity gossip, you know, TMZ type woman. And I hate that shit. I don't want to listen to gossip. I don't want to be around people who gossip. I think it's black magic. I think it's cursing. I think it's abuse of the word that God gave us. I don't care. I don't want that pollution in my mind. So please keep it to yourself. Like, don't tell me, even when it's about me. Like, people would tell me when I would go through a breakup or something, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, so and so said this about you. And I'm like, I don't care. That's none of my business. I don't want to know that. So keep it to yourself. So, also, it's nice practicing keeping your mind stable and your thoughts quiet and calm and not feeling like you need to respond to everything. You can simply practice exiting the conversation. You can say, I'd rather not talk about that if you don't mind, you know, because this puts people on alert that you have a boundary that they've just crossed and to not do it again. And people don't like to feel embarrassed. So if you say something like that, would you mind if we don't talk about that? That's private to me. It makes them feel embarrassed for asking you, which they should be. That person's not your friend, by the way. People who do that to you are not your friend. So working on really keeping our thoughts to ourselves unless it's necessary. And that's why, as a rule, I learned this like 15 years ago and I've loved it ever since. I use the three gates of speech. So before you speak, your words and thoughts have to pass through three gates. The first gate is, are these words true? First and foremost, are they true? Duh. Like, we should never be saying something that could potentially be untrue. Okay. So that should be an obvious one. Are these words true? If so, then they may pass through this gate. If not, then back they go. Second gate of speech. Are these words necessary? Almost all of the shit that we say is not necessary, right? So I definitely love to use this one because it filters out 90% of the stuff that I think. And most of the things that I think don't need to be said out loud. Are these words true? Are they necessary? If not, then back they go. Out your pie hole, clam it up. All right. And then the third gate of speech, are these words kind? Are these words true? Are they necessary? And are they kind? And if they're all three of these things, then you may speak. If not, then back they go. Let them be transmuted into something else, into some other form of energy. If they're not true, necessary, and kind, then you don't need to say them, right? I believe silence is golden. And I think the older I get, I'm so much more peaceful and ever evolving into this really beautiful space that I've cultivated in my own body, in my own soul, spirit, and mind. And I enjoy being alone with my thoughts. Um, when I was younger, maybe I had more intrusive thoughts and I had things that I had not healed and had not worked on. And, that can be difficult, I think, for a lot of people who aren't able to sit with their own thoughts. I've noticed that people who have really chaotic minds tend to just, emotionally vomit and just barf all over everybody, whether or not anybody wants to hear it. And so that's why I think I'm always very aware as well. And I definitely don't let people get away with that shit around me. Like if it's in my home, definitely not. That's not going to fly. And if we're out in public, then I just won't hang out with you ever again. Like people who just emotionally ear vomit on you, like you're not going to do that shit to me. Just because you don't enjoy your own fucking thoughts and you don't take any time to put into your emotional health and wealth and well-being, which everyone, it's your job to do. Nobody should have to do that for you. And if you can't live in your own mind, I definitely don't want to listen to that. So um if you are a person who ear vomits on everybody and you're a big talker, maybe this will help you. I know for me personally, I am always very aware of my surroundings and I try to be the best that I can be, at least, of not being selfish, being self aware of how I'm making other people feel. A great way to assess this, how you're making somebody else feel with what you're talking about, is to read their body language. People may not tell you, but they will show you everything. That's why it's great to really be more observant. It's a very simple practice and it will take a lifetime to master, but it's something that you can implement every day of your life. Just being more aware, more conscientious of people's energy. They, even if they don't speak it out loud, they're probably not going to want to be rude and tell you that you're annoying the shit out of them. But if you pay attention to people's body language, like my cues, my pantomimes, my dead giveaways for when I am done with the conversation is like, I just start saying, damn, that's crazy. Wow. Damn, that's crazy. Wow. Damn, that's crazy. Wow. And like when a person starts doing that to me, eventually there will be I have to pee. And then I will run and flee for my life and never come back to that conversation. So if you hear me start to say that, damn, that's crazy 10 fucking times, like that's a cue that you're supposed to shut up and talk about something else. And I always wonder how people just maintain this personality type out in the real world. And I've come to the conclusion that it's because they don't care. Those people are just selfishly energy vampires sucking the life force out of you and they don't care. They need energy. You're a warm body with a pulse. They're going to siphon your energy. They don't care how it makes you feel. The conversation's not for you. It's just because they just want to talk and blab. These people also bring up characters that you have no point of reference for. Like they'll be like, oh my God. And yeah, then Christy was like this. And then like Sally and then Tim said that. And you're like, who the fuck are these people? I don't know Sally and Tim. Who is that? Am I even like here? Why am I here? This conversation is clearly not for me because you've given me no point of reference on who the hell Sally is. Like, I can't participate in this conversation. So then that's when you know that the conversation's not for you. It's just for them to be talking whatever mindless nonsense comes to their head. And that's when you again flee for your life and set strong boundaries and cut those people off. Silence is a superpower, and learning how to cultivate that and craft it and wield it in a conversation can be an amazing source of energy for you. And it's a great bargaining tool. It's a great tactic to be able to draw on and to keep in your arsenal. Learning how to keep your composure. Becoming an excellent communicator is a very crucial part of being a successful human being. If you hang out with somebody and you're just drowning them in a sea of mindless nonsense, they're going to resent you for that and they're not going to like you. They will not want to hang out with you anymore. So the idea is to develop always emotional rapport with people. You want to establish things in common. That's the point of connection. When you meet somebody, throw out things that they might be able to pick up on, or wait for them to talk. Ask them questions about themselves so you can pick up on those things that they said. And then you relate it to an experience of yours. And that's how you develop bonds. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to connect, help, and uplift each other. Building emotional rapport with people is literally like the point of our existence. We're here to help each other grow and evolve, but you can't do that if one party is just ultimately selfish and only here to just spew every random thought that they've ever had. You're going to listen to what I have to say. I have a microphone and you don't. So, yeah, becoming a skilled communicator is going to take you so far in life. People are going to want to be around you and they're going to want to ultimately help you if you need, help with businesses and investment capital, if you need, emotional support, if you need community, whatever it is you're doing in life, it's going to be better with people. So you want to develop and hone these skills. You want to develop a peaceful, calm mind. You want to practice cultivating meaningful, lasting friendships and relationships. That's the point. Learning to go within and soothe your thoughts is going to be one of the first steps, too, to helping you develop a peaceful inner landscape. Learning how to process your emotions and sit with them and to not fear them and not being afraid to feel the discomfort of temporary, very temporary, by the way. If you face an emotion or an intrusive thought head on and you just allow it, those emotions are temporary and they pass, just like the rainstorms that we have every 5 minutes here in rain season in South Florida. Every few minutes it downpours and then they pass though. So sit with the intrusive thoughts, allow them to come. When you battle something, when you're at war with something, when you're at war with what is, when you're at war with reality, that's when we become plagued by anxiety. You can't have anxiety or discomfort in your own mind when you allow things to come and pop up like a annoying pop-up ad and you're like, thanks for sharing, let's move on. You don't spend the rest of the day being upset because that pop-up ad came onto your screen. You don't allow that to throw you in a state of chaos. You just say, okay, great. If somebody doesn't like you, if somebody casts a negative thought your way or a negative curse or wish, you don't have to react to that. You can just say, okay, and allow it. Just allow it. Surrender to it. Let it pass. Like bubbles in the ocean when I'm snorkeling. You just see them, bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing. You allow it and then you allow it to move on. And then you're no longer a prisoner of that. But I can always tell when people are very nervous talkers or they're just constantly just yammering on that this is a person who is unable to sit and digest their own thoughts and emotions. And that is very uncomfortable. And that is very uncomfortable for the person who is on the receiving end of that mindless chatter. Not everything that you think needs to be uttered. We can just enjoy the comfort and the peace of mind that we have when we're able to sit with our thoughts. Or if you're a person who just likes to get that out, there's so many different things. Like I use all these tools. I go for a 2.5 mile run every morning, or I'm doing my ballet bar classes, or I'm going to the gym and lifting weights and using the Stairmaster. Like those are my things to get my mental thoughts in order. I'm creating. If you're not an artist, then it doesn't matter. You're creating when you're in your home. Every time you make a meal, you're creating. Every time you get dressed, you're creating art. These are things that positive ways we can channel all of this energy and, move and transmute our thoughts and our emotions. Emotions are just energy in motion. So allow those emotions to move and then you won't feel the need to just mindlessly blather away. So let me know if you guys have ever been in this situation on either end. I've definitely been in situations where I've overshared too, and I hated that as well. So I worked on it. I did not like that quality about myself. So I worked on that and really paid attention to reading the room, really paid attention to how the people I was talking to were receiving it. I can tend to be very dry and sarcastic. And a lot of times I don't laugh when I tell a joke. I just kind of am like slightly snide. And I think that's funny. I love that style of humor. And I like when people do that to me, like just slightly like talking shit. I think that that's hilarious. Not everyone enjoys that. I found out real quick when I was younger that that's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. But I'm in the business of helping people and not hurting them. So I really wanted to become better at engaging with people and become better at uplifting them, being able to read when it's okay to, tell an off color joke, or being able to read when somebody is not in the right headspace to hear about my bad day, but being able to read when somebody needs a little bit of encouragement, just being able to judge those situations and not making it about me. I think that's like bottom line too, is like when we make it all about ourselves, that's when you become just a drag to hang out with. So I never want to be that for anyone if I can help it. Here to uplift others, got to get out of our own head to be able to do that. So, using the power of silence, this can be such a great asset. One I highly recommend everybody learn how to develop within themselves. Hope this was interesting for you guys. Let me know if you have any thoughts on this. And if it's something that, resonated with you, leave an emoji or a comment for me. I appreciate that. Helps to boost the good old algorithm there. Make sure you subscribe and please turn on the notification bell and share. Sharing is caring. You guys are helping me to not only realize my dream, but to also, connect with more like minds, which was my goal with starting this page. I want to share things that I've been through that have helped me on my journey and hear what's worked for you too. Like I'm in the interest of growing as fast as possible and healing as much as possible while we're here so we can enjoy this life and just like totally become the greatest version of ourselves. Cheers. I hope you guys are living the freest, most beautiful, most authentic life possible today. And I just want to say that, in case no one's told you, I love you and I think you're a gorgeous creature. And I hope that we can connect soon. So cheers, guys.